From the shadowy depths of the city, where justice and mystery intertwine, emerges a broadcast as daring and vigilant as the masked Avenger himself. You are tuned in to the Green Hornet Case Files, unveiling the legacy and cultural significance of one of the greatest crime fighters of all time. Now, let the adventure begin. Here are your hosts, Corey and Greg.
So I was having this conversation.
You were having a conversation?
I was having a conversation with my landlord. And we got to talking, and he was like, you know, you're a jovial guy. He's like, have you ever thought about doing podcasts? And I said, I do one right now. And he goes, oh, yeah, what's it about? I said, the Green Hornet. And he goes, what's that?
What's that?
And I was like, oh, well, it's, you know, got popular in the 60s as a TV show with Bruce Lee. But it started, you know, as a radio show. And he goes, like the Shadow radio show?
Yeah.
He goes, do you mean the Green Hornet and Kato? And I was like, yeah. And he was like, what do you know about that?
Well, let me tell you, how much time do you have?
And I was like, actually, if you go to YouTube right now, you can know exactly what I know about that.
Exactly. There you go. Hey, welcome back, everybody, to Green Hornet Case Files. I'm Greg.
And I'm Corey.
And it's the new year.
It is the new year.
Just about. Well, by the time you hear this, it will be the new year.
This will be the second, right? Yeah.
Yeah. So we're really excited about what's happening here. We have a special guest. We're going to get to John here in just a moment, but we did want to jump in real quick and talk to everybody about the fact that we kind of tried and missed and tried. And
thank you for your patience with we had some life get in the way, and we also had some technical difficulties get in the way. For trying to land this episode for probably going on a month now.
Yeah, it's been probably at least that. And we are still having a little bit of issues here as we speak. We're just trying to get John on the other end of the line here so that he can hear us. And he just texted me and said, I can barely hear you, but we'll slow down and talk slower so that the questions and so forth come through. Okay.
I should be less caffeinated then.
You should be less caffeinated. That is correct. So we tried and tried and tried. We wanted to do an episode on toys.
Yes.
Because
Christmas.
Well,
at least the holiday season, whatever you happen to partake in. And I know that makes people grouchy when you bring up the fact that there's other ones, but everybody celebrates a little bit different. And what is the point of the season? Toys.
That's exactly correct. We always, even until the time up until the time that he passed, we would get our son at 30 years old a toy. There was always a toy under the tree.
I got 4 Ninja Turtles this year.
Wow.
I got 2 Lord of the Rings figures. Toys.
Yeah, toys. So digging around on the internet, I ran across this guy on Facebook. And I don't know if John has the largest collection of Green Hornet stuff, but I know he's got one hell of a collection.
I'm going to tell you people right now, listening at home, this thing is incredible. Incredible.
Yeah.
I was blown away.
Yeah. We just kept looking at pictures and looking at pictures. And
I didn't even understand how big and awesome this collection could be.
John Negron, are you on the line with us, John?
Yes, sir. I'm here.
He's there.
Hi, John.
How you doing?
Pretty good, brother. It's good to finally get to talk to you on here.
Well, pleasure to be on the show with you guys.
So, you and I have had a bit of a conversation in the past about your collection. We've discussed it just a little bit, but I want you to tell us how and why you jumped into not only the Green Hornet, but you have a beyond incredible collection of Bruce Lee stuff.
Yes.
Where and how, man, my friend?
Well, just to give you a little background, just last week I had a real crazy visitor. I had a guy named Ron Hall, who's an actor and a grandmaster of martial arts. He's in a lot of martial arts movies. He actually dropped in last Sunday, I believe it was. He spent about 5.5 hours here. He lives in the DC area. He drove all the way here just to visit my collection and do an interview with me for a documentary that he's doing. He's actually doing directing and producing now, and he's doing this big documentary. He said he had to get me in it because he's known about me for years, and he wanted to finally get to meet me and see this incredible collection. And he came by and spent 5.5 hours here. It was a pleasure to see that guy. He's a big guy.
Nice.
But the way I got into it was as a kid, I used to watch, all the shows just like everybody else, in my generation, the baby boomer generation, watching Batman and Superman, of course, the Green Hornet, F Troop, Green Acres, Flying Nun, Andy Griffin Show, you name it, all the classic shows, the Honeymooners. But, one of my favorites was, of course, Batman. And people were always giving me, for Christmas, they would give me Green Hornet toys. The Green Hornet gum cards I would buy at the store, 5 cents for a pack of cards. And it was 5 cents for 3 stickers. And, some of that stuff survived. After so many years, I got into Bruce Lee like about 1970, I think it was. 73 seriously when Enter the Dragon came out, of course. That's what did it for everybody. But I started with, posters and magazines and things like that was only available at that time. And as years progressed, I got deeper and deeper into it. I took martial arts. I went in the Marines for 23 years and was all about fitness because of Bruce being into fitness. And, I got into different martial arts. And little by little, my collection just kept expanding until it is, considered one of the largest now in the world.
That's incredible. And
as a kid, I didn't have a lot of heroes. So, here comes this guy, to break the cultural boundaries, and, when you went to the movies back in the 70s, everybody was up on their feet and cursing and jumping out of their seats at the screen and stuff. And here's this guy larger than life comes around and, he just blows everybody away. Nobody had ever seen anything like it. Of course, when he did the Green Hornet, all you saw was a black blur and bodies flying, So he was impressive then, but of course he had to compete against Batman, and Batman was the thing back then. So they only made it to one season, 26 episodes.
I'm assuming you have heard the story that Burt Ward tells about he and Bruce Lee on the set of Batman. Absolutely.
That story he's told over and over again, and sadly, he's one of the few surviving cast members of Batman still. Him, Catwoman is still alive. And I've got his autograph. I've got Batman's autograph. I got Catwoman's autograph. I've got the Joker, Cesar Romero. And nice. I got quite a few of the cast members. And I've got just about all the cast members of the Green Hornet, including the announcer, which you know who the announcer was, right?
Yes, we do. We've had his daughter on the show.
I was going to say we spoke to his daughter.
I've got a magazine and a couple of autographed pictures of him.
Mr. Dozier, what a thought process of taking this character that we all knew and turning it into this camp character of Batman and Robin. And then trying to turn the tides and
kick it back the other way.
Kick it back the other way to something dark and serious, and nobody understood, what was going on. But
well, I think they didn't really want to get into the seriousness of the Green Hornet. It was more into the campiness of Batman at that time. So I think that's why the Green Hornet didn't make it.
As you started the collection, you said you just kind of amassed and came kind of back to it through Bruce. Is it basically what you were saying?
Well, I started out with Bruce Lee, but over the years I started going back to the roots of it, which he originally started on the Green Hornet. He did make some television appearances on Marlowe, Here Come the Brides. They did a 3-part episode on Longstreet on him, and they centered around him and his art and stuff like that. But what started it all was the Green Hornet. He was seen at a tournament, and the guy from Batman saw him and said, "Hey, let's look at him and do Charlie Chan's number one son," and that didn't materialize. And then they finally got him for the role of Kato, in the Green Hornet. And of course, everything is history from there. And the reason why Green Hornet toys are so expensive now, if you look on eBay, you see the outrageous, crazy prices on their toys on what's out there, is because of the fact that, first of all, Green Hornet toys were not available on the West Coast. And by the time a lot of the people jumped into the market of doing the same thing they did with the Batman toys, with the Green Hornet toys, the series was already canceled. So everything that was already in production was released, and it was released in limited quantities because they figured, well, if the show bombed, the toys are not going to do good either. So there's limited stuff out there on the Green Hornet. There's probably about 190 maybe licensed items on the Green Hornet toys. Everything else is pretty much, fan made or bootlegged or something like to that effect. The series has never been released.
Of that 190, how many do you have them all? Do you think you have them all?
Oh, no. There's still a lot of rare pieces out there that are almost impossible to find.
Oh, okay.
I say I'm probably good for about 120, 140 different items.
That's not bad, though. That's not
no,
bad.
That's not bad at all. No, that's not bad at all.
All right. So John, you've led us down to this point. What's the one piece you don't have that you want?
Oh, as far as Green Hornet is concerned?
Yeah.
Wow. To give you an example, there's they did Green Hornet costumes for the Captain Action figure, and they didn't do a Kato. So later on, about 1990, 91, Playing Mantis acquired the rights, and they did a Green Hornet and Kato figure, and they did the outfits also. Now, the original outfit, the 1966 Green Hornet Captain Action outfit, it recently went about 2 weeks ago in an auction for $40,000. Shows you how rare some of the stuff is.
Wow.
Yeah.
You don't find that under the tree this year, do you?
Oh, no. Nope. I mean, a Green Hornet lunchbox, an original lunchbox, which I have the original in the thermos, could run you anywhere from $300 to $700, $800 because of the, depending on the condition. I have one, and I figured mine would be about a 9.5 out of 10.
Wow.
So, yeah. And then I have all the reproductions, of course, to match them up to show the differences. But you were saying, they also had, I think, one of the rarest Green Hornet items out there that I don't know anybody that has it, except I've seen in pictures, is, you remember when you used to go to the store as a kid and they had the little horses outside and your mom and dad would put the little coin in there and you would rock back and forth for a few minutes?
The little car, yeah.
Yeah. Well, they had a Green Hornet car.
Like a little rideable Black Beauty?
Yes.
Yes.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, I've seen pictures of it, but I've never actually seen one in person or seen any collector that has it. But I've seen pictures of it. It does exist.
Yeah, I have seen those in one of the forums on Facebook, and I don't know who has that and whether they're in the process of doing a restoration, because I think the pictures looked pretty gnarly, but it's out there.
Yes, that's awesome.
Yeah, it's out there.
That would be incredible.
That'd be about probably the rarest piece out of all the pieces that you can get. I think that's the rarest.
The one that stuck out to me when I was looking through your photos was the cereal, the Green Hornet Krispies. Yeah. I don't know why those stuck out to me, but I just thought that was the coolest thing in the world.
Now, that's funny because those were never actually produced. Those are fan-made. In 1990, a fan made those, and there wasn't maybe 20 of those in existence. So it's
awesome.
only me and one other person that I know that even has these, and I have both boxes. Now I've acquired the original boxes that the fan-made boxes. The one I had in the pictures was actually a bootleg of the fan-made original one. So I just recently acquired 2 of the original boxes that were made.
Oh, wow. That is so cool.
One of the things that has always kind of bothered me about the Green Hornet, the toys and the collectibles, I don't necessarily always want to say, toys, but collectibles, is just they never seem to be as, I'm going to say this and everybody's going to hate me, I just know. They were never quite as cool as some of the Batman or Superman or that. They were always just, it's okay.
Yeah.
I'm not going to down you on that, but everything that they made of Batman, they actually made of Green Hornet. The few things that they did make, they were identical. So if they made, for example, a Batman Corgi car, they made a Green Hornet Corgi car. If they made a Green Hornet Quick Switch game, they made a Batman Quick Switch game. So they actually, the same people duplicated it in Batman that they did in the Green Hornet. It's just that the Batman had so much more available. I mean, there's thousands of toys that came out.
Thousands,
whereas the Green Hornet had a couple of hundred. That was it. You figure from milk glasses to toy masks to toy hats that you flip down and you had the little mask on there They did quick switch games. They did the color forms. They did the puzzles. They did the wrist radios. And I'm looking at the stuff now, so that's why I could just rattle on.
Yeah, I had the color forms. I had color forms myself. Yeah.
So everything they did in Batman, they also did in Green Hornet. It's just that many people didn't jump into the pool because of the show was already canceled. So what they had in production, they went ahead and released.
Do you still actively search for stuff, or do you just kind of wait for it to hit you in the face?
No, I actively search for it, but the stuff is so expensive now. It's like when Van Williams started touring in 1990, 91 time frame. He started doing conventions and card shows and comic book conventions and things like that. And he brought back the popularity of the show where it got a huge cult following. And then you got people that, collect cult toys, Batman and stuff like that. So they collect Green Hornet. Then you got Green Hornet collectors. And then you got Bruce Lee collectors that also collect Green Hornet. So you got so many people out there now that collect these toys that the value of them has gone so far up out of reach that, you've got to make a pretty good salary to pick some of them up nowadays. I mean, good thing that most of the stuff that's on eBay now, I already have because I jumped on the bandwagon early on, as a kid. And then, when I got a little older and I started collecting, I started buying up some of the stuff, and some of the stuff is still sealed in the packages, never played with or anything, so I was lucky in that fact that I've already established a big collection now where I don't have to go out and spend thousands of dollars to get certain items, because certain items are just outrageous. I mean, a Black Beauty Aurora model kit, which I have in the box and I have one built up. It was, I want to say, I got the advertisement up there, but I can't see it from here. I think it was like 25 cents for the model. And now, I mean, that thing can go for $1,000 if you find it in the box still.
Yeah, and the only one that you can find, well, there's a couple of different model kits that are out now.
No, they've reproduced them. Polar Lights got the rights and
it's all reproductions.
Different versions of it.
Yeah.
But the original Aurora in the box can run you up to $1,000 easy. Wow. Just for that model kit. Something that was like 35 cents. Most of the toys back then, I think the most expensive Green Hornet toy was like 69 cents, which is, I have these toy masks, the Green Hornet and Kato toy masks that came on the card. I have them still in the package sealed. And those things were 69 cents. Now you're going to pay $1,500, $2,000 easy for them.
Wow.
Because of the rarity of them.
Corey, you and I are in the wrong business.
Yes, we are. Yes, we are.
Yeah.
John, I do have a side tangent that I have to ask about your collection. It's just looking through the photos that Greg was showing me. You have a pretty substantial Crow collection as well.
Oh yeah.
And that's my favorite movie. So I was just curious as to, I'm sure it's tangential to, Brandon being Bruce's son, of course, but can you tell me a little bit about that collection?
Well, I started collecting on the whole Lee family after Bruce passed, because his son, of course, came behind him and started. And if you don't know anything as far as his son actually made 5 movies just like his father. Mm-hmm. He made a couple of foreign films, and then the film, of course, that brought him out, just like Bruce came out and Enter the Dragon, and made him a huge international success. It did the same thing for Brandon in The Crow.
Yeah.
And of course, he was killed on the set of The Crow, which wasn't but 45 minutes away from where I live now. And, at that time, I was one of the first people to find out. And I made phone calls to everybody, say, hey, Brandon just got shot. No, he didn't. I didn't hear nothing on the news. Look, I know a guy that was on the set and told me, gave me a phone call and told me that Brandon just got shot. And then, of course, later that night and the next morning, it came out on the newspapers and on the news broadcast that he had passed away from a bullet wound. Yeah, I started following his son immediately after he started getting popular and everything. And I collect on his son, anything on his wife. She remarried twice after his death.
Yes,
and
Linda.
I collect things on her. I have her autograph and all kind of things. And I've got Shannon also. She made a few movies and a few bit parts. And so I collect pretty much on the whole Lee family. I have Robert Lee's autograph. I have Bruce Lee's mother's autograph. I think the only one I'm missing is Bruce Lee's father. But I have all his siblings. I have him. I have the whole cast of almost of Enter the Dragon. So these are things I've collected also, which is autographs. But Brandon, I was impressed with Brandon watching him on the screen. I mean, it was just like watching his father in the early movies that he did. And then he progressed, to Showdown Little Tokyo with Dolph Lundgren. And then he went on to play Rapid Fire, which he was showcased. And then, of course, The Crow. So he came about just like his father. He started in low-budget movies and pretty much made a name for himself. And the biggest thing about Brandon was he didn't want to be cast as Bruce Lee's son. He wanted to be his own person.
Yeah.
He wanted to be known as Brandon Lee. He wanted to come out on his own, which I think he finally achieved that. But he was always known as Bruce Lee's son, which he didn't like.
Rapid Fire is probably one of my all-time favorite films.
That is my
It's a
favorite,
great
yes.
movie.
Yeah, I'll sit and watch that one regardless of what time of day or night that baby is on. One of the things about the collection is that it as you said, things are becoming more and more expensive, which seems to make them a bit more difficult to find. And I have gone out to every junk shop, every antique store, every collectibles store, and every once in a while, I mean, just every once in a while, I'll find some absolutely trashed. I have one of the Corgi Black Beauties, and it's absolutely trashed. But that's all you can find. I bought it, for 25 cents or $25 or whatever it was. I don't know. But this stuff is just getting more and more difficult to find just out in public.
Right. Like what you talk about, like we said, if you talk about Green Hornet, what makes it so rare is the fact that you've got, about 3 different types of collectors that collect this stuff. You got the people that collect, on cult television shows, the Batman, the Green Hornet, and Superman, things like that. And then you've also got the Bruce Lee collectors that also collect some of the Green Hornet stuff. And then you got actually Green Hornet collectors. So when you got, three types of individual collectors out there looking for this stuff, it just makes it more and more difficult to find it, especially when they didn't produce that much of it.
On the show with us is John Negron, who is a collector extraordinaire, I guess
absolutely.
Is what you would call it here on the Green Hornet Case Files. And again, we tried to do this episode prior to the holiday because we wanted to do the Christmas toy, underneath the tree kind of thing. But we got John on now, and what an incredible collection. Is there a place, John, besides Facebook that people can go and check out your collection?
There's a channel called Charles Damiano. He does a YouTube channel called the Bruce Lee Collection. He's visited my house. I think the last time he was here was about 3 years ago. And he was here like 10, 12 hours shooting episodes. And
oh, wow.
He's done about 12 or 13 on me alone on his channel. So if you put in his name, put in the Bruce Lee Collection, or put Charles Damiano, and then you put my name, the episode should pop up. And I've done everything from Brandon Lee to posters to Green Hornet, top 10 collectibles, you name it. So you'll find a lot of videos on there.
We'll make sure we link that YouTube channel as well in the show notes.
So, John, do you have a prized piece, like the thing that the house catches fire? It's the one thing you're running out the door with?
Well, I have a set of, I'll hit you on the Bruce Lee stuff first. I have a set of what's called the Fushan City statues. They were very limited. There was only 12 made. I have 10 out of the 12.
Oh, wow.
There was an auction earlier in the year, and I want to say it was 8 or 9 of them sold for $46,000. So that's how rare those statues are.
Wow.
There's only one other collector that I know that has as many statues as I do. Other than that, you might find one here and there. But what makes them so rare is they were produced in the 70s, and they are made of clay, and they're very, very detailed and very heavy. Each one weighs probably 7 or 8 pounds a piece.
Oh, wow.
Wow.
And, to find them now, you're talking about $3,000, $4,000, $5,000 a piece. And then what's happened is over the years, I've managed to find one here and one there, like in England or France or something. And by the time it was shipped to me, it was broke because they're so fragile. I mean, they're very, very fragile. So they're very rare because not many people have them. And that's my prized Bruce Lee section of my collection, other than his autographs and stuff like that.
Sure.
As far as the Green Hornet, believe it or not, my most treasured item there is, as Greg was saying, he found a Corgi car. I have my original Corgi car that I played with when I was 7 years old.
That's fantastic.
Still in the box and everything. I mean, it's not in pristine condition. The box is really beat up. The car's got a little nicks and knacks here and there, but it still has the original scanner and the missile that shoots out the front. The tires are in great shape. I mean, it's in great shape. I mean, I would give it probably maybe a 7 out of 10. So
Wow.
I obviously didn't play with it that much, but it's my original car from when I was a kid. That was one thing that survived when my mother threw out all my toys.
That's
That
so
and my 44
cool.
card collection. The 44 gum cards that came in the packs,
Right.
that survived and the car survived. So that's the only thing I have from when I was, 6, 7 years old back when the show was on.
That's interesting. The only thing I have left of that time period, I believe I have 3 bubblegum cards from the Beatles that came out in like 66, something like that, 65, 66. And I have 3 of those. And that's it. That's it for my childhood collection.
Right.
A while back I started selling also stuff because I had so much stuff that I was dibbly-dabbling in. I had Partridge Family cards. I had Brady Bunch cards. So I sold those. I had the Beatles cards. I still have some of the King Kong cards. I don't know if you guys remember these. They were black and white.
I do.
And they had the little white circle where you could actually write what you wanted him to say.
Like the thought bubble. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then I have the, and I think they say something like 1940 something on them. I have some of my original Batman cards. They had some that were like animated. I have some of those, and then they had the ones that actually had pictures on them. They were called Bat Laughs. I still have some of those. Until recently, I had a Batman puppet, a hand puppet. You stuck your hand in, it was vinyl, and it had the big head to it. I still have my Green Hornet one, but I had the Batman and the Green Hornet one, and I had this collector saw a video, and he bugged me till I went ahead and sold him that Batman puppet.
And that's one piece that I had as well, was the Batman with the vinyl head. Yeah.
Right. The vinyl head and the little vinyl body. If you weren't careful, you stuck your hand in there too many times, you ripped it.
And that happened.
Is that what happened to yours?
And that happened.
But I still have some Man from Uncle cards.
Heck yeah.
Marvel, I think, did some. Marvel or DC put cards inside of bread packs way back when in Wonder Bread. I still have those. I still have a lot of cards from, back in the days.
A lot of great collection, a lot of great memories. And it's, you get to the holiday season and you start looking at the toys today. And Corey, you're that much younger than I am. You're like, my son was. And he had his favorite things from his childhood, which was, 20 years difference from my childhood.
Right.
And so what do you remember from your days in the 80s?
Yeah, my day was, I was coming up in the heyday of the Transformers and G.I. Joe cartoon and Ninja Turtles. Ninja Turtles is the one that sticks with me to this day.
Oh, yeah.
I'm big on the Turtles. And
Corey, you remember Joe cartoon?
Oh, yeah.
Wow.
But I came up with all of that, and that's Ian and I bonded over toy collecting big time. That was a thing for both of us. And there's been some stuff like recently in the past couple of years they're doing Transformer crossovers.
Right.
And they did a Transformers Ecto 1, and they did a Transformers Turtle Van. And those two things are hanging on my wall right now. I love them so much. But yeah, and it's the same thing. I'm hoping I can get to where I can get some Green Hornet stuff.
Yeah.
I got some Bruce stuff. I have Bruce figures actually. I just I should when we first started doing the show.
Yeah, it was like the first week or something.
Yeah.
You picked up something new.
I got a Tamashii Nation SH Figure Arts Bruce. That absolutely is one of the prized part of my collection. But it's over the Christmas holiday. I got my son. He's recently discovered Dragon Ball, and I got him some of the SH Figure Arts figures for that. And now I think I'm going to be poor because he is hooked.
Make that boy go get his own job, okay?
Right.
Make him get out there and
Well, Christmas being last week, his birthday is next week, and he's like, for my birthday, I want this one, this one.
Yeah. So, John, as we wrap your segment up here, what do you hope happens to the collection when? And I hope this is never soon, but when you finally go off to that great dojo in the sky. What do you hope happens to your collection? You want it to go to a museum, or are you going to part and parcel it out?
Well, I don't know. My wife will probably, she tells me if I pass before her, she's going to keep the rooms as a shrine. I've got 2 huge rooms in my house that all this stuff is, because that was part of the deal of getting a new house. We kind of outgrew our old house because I didn't have enough room. Most of the stuff was in a big shed that I had built. So I had very few things displayed, and, everything was in boxes and in totes and everything else. So I said, well, now we need a bigger house and I want a room to display. Well, it wound up being that I took 2 huge rooms. I have an upstairs room and I have a downstairs room.
You're my hero.
Brandon Lee and Bruce and the Green Hornet, and upstairs is all Bruce.
Nice.
But, she says she's going to keep it as a shrine, but, who knows? I just hope that, if she decides to part it out or get a hold of collectors when I pass, that, they'll go to somebody that'll appreciate it, and keep it, after all the years that I spent searching for the stuff.
Yeah. Remember your friends.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
John Negron, I just want to say, thanks for sticking with us and for keep playing the game until we finally got you on the show. You've got a collection that both Corey and I are still drooling over, and I think anybody else who checks it out will agree. It's one hell of a collection.
Yeah, very impressive, my friend, and thank you for sharing the information with us.
If you guys are ever in this neck of the woods, you're more than welcome to stop in and take a look for yourselves. Everybody that comes in, I keep like a journal of a picture journal of everybody that stops in to see it. People travel from all over to come see it, and I get a kick out of it because I just bring them in one room and they're just wanting to spend hours in this room. And I say, well, don't take too long because there's another room, just another room. And we go upstairs and they just lose their mind. They're like, wow.
We got to make that happen. Yeah. We got to make that happen.
We're making travel arrangements as we speak. So
absolutely. Absolutely. What's fascinating is that I've devoted myself into, I wanted to eventually do a museum, but, of course, time, money, and space and things like that forbid you to do that. But I wanted to make my collection diverse. And what I mean by that, everybody asks me, why do you have so much stuff? I said, well, to really show the impact of the Green Hornet, of Brandon Lee, of the Lee family, of Bruce, I wanted to have a little bit of everything. Like I have everything, like I have postage stamps, I have lunch boxes, I have coins, I have buttons, I have bracelets, I have toys, masks. I mean, you name it. I try to get a little bit of everything, just to show the diversity of how much stuff is actually out there on this one guy, on this one family, So that's why I've so much stuff over the years, because I wanted to show a diversity. I didn't want to just collect posters or just magazines, because I have magazines, like 8,000 magazines from all over the world. And a lot of them I've been featured in. But, I've always wanted to have a collection where it had showed a huge diversity of everything that's out there, toy cars, blankets, pillowcases, you name it, they've done it. So I have a little bit of each thing like that just to show, what an immense, because if you went to a museum and you just saw posters, you get bored of seeing posters after a while. But if you go to a museum and you see autographs and you see a life cast of his face and you see his autograph and you see masks and you see posters and you see toys and you see cars and you see stamps, and then let's go on and on and on. Then you're fascinated because you go, wow, there was so much stuff put out. Just like when we were talking about the Green Hornet toys. Who knew that many things came out? I mean, 190 items is quite a bit of items. I mean, you're talking about alarm clocks and slot cars and model kits and, quick switch games, wrist radios, TV guides, you name it. I mean,
the list just keeps going on and
it's
on
endless.
and on.
It's endless.
Yeah. Can't wait. One of these days we'll make that happen.
Oh, absolutely. I would enjoy having you guys. It would be a pleasure to have you guys come visit.
Well, thank you so much for taking the time to talk to us about it, though, John. We really, really appreciate it.
Thank you so much for having me on your podcast. Appreciate it. And you guys have a happy new year.
Man, I don't know about you. I just, my wife would hate me.
Oh, dude. It's funny. I don't know why I didn't make the comparison before. But when we were talking to him, right there at the end, I was picturing, because I looked at the photos a few weeks ago when we started trying to do this, and he started talking about a museum, and it made me think of, are you familiar with Rancho Obi-Wan?
No.
So it's a collector down in California.
Sure.
Who has a museum of Star Wars merch. And it's an entire ranch house that you go in and walk through. but it's Rancho Obi-Wan, and he has close to everything that's been released of Star Wars merchandise. At least it was close as of a decade ago when I found out about it. But either which way, I got to thinking about those photos and John's want for it to be a museum, and I was like, that's right where he's at.
Yeah.
It's right there.
He could easily step over and do Green Hornet, Bruce Lee, Lee family, whatever, and make that happen. As a collector myself, you and I both have collected how many different things over the years.
It's terrible.
Yeah. Actually, it really kind of truly is. It's kind of sad sometimes.
We get a dragon disease. I just want to hoard.
Just hoard everything. Smog.
Yep,
my gold.
I find a very keen connection with smog.
It was good, kind of my smog thing going on there.
That one.
Yeah, thank you. I collected for a long time when Ian was a small guy. We started collecting Star Trek because of my love for Trek at the time, and we had boxes and boxes, all the Playmate stuff, and we would search, and they made bathroom things, and all that kind of stuff. Picard,
Do you remember ThinkGeek? It was a website, ThinkGeek.
Yes.
And every year they would put out some sort of Star Trek bathrobes or phaser shaving cream dispensers and stuff like that.
We would get up we were still trying to remember how old he was. He wasn't that old, but he was into it. He was big time into it. And we were living in the Midwest at the time. And we had figured out, we'd called around to all the stores that carried that kind of merch. And we had asked them, when do you get your new shipments in? How soon after you get the shipment do you get it on the floor? And we had like almost a spreadsheet to say, oh, it's Saturday morning. We need to go too.
Yeah.
Kmart. We need
KB on this day.
KB.
Toys R Us on this day. See, we used to, Donnie and I, we were friends with the guy that ran the arcade at the mall.
Mm-hmm.
And we would make friends with the managers at the toy stores and trade insider information for free quarter time. Like, hey, this guy will hook you up. Tell me when these come in.
Oh yeah,
yeah, and that's what we traded with Game Time at the arcade. So we would trade. We'd be like, hey, I can get you, Area 51, whatever the game was that you wanted to play. I can hook you up with some free time on that. But you tell me when the new shipment of Turtles comes in. Or when the new McFarlane Spawn figures drop or whatever it was. And that's what we were doing that.
It's really frustrating, though, as a guy that, I came to, I've always loved the Green Hornet, but again, I came back to the Green Hornet at a very old age and wanting to find a few pieces, knowing full well that I didn't want to collect on the level that
like John.
John.
Yeah.
I don't have the finances, first off, and secondly, I don't have the space, and a lot of the stuff I just have no desire to have.
Right.
I'm a little more selective, I guess, in my wants,
which is good. That's a good thing.
And I have, John was talking about magazines and so forth. Well, I'm a huge ephemera kind of guy.
Right.
I enjoyed that. And, birthday, I think it was birthday that the wife wound up getting me the playing cards, the Green Hornet playing cards, that kind of paper mission, but trying to find other merch out there that here, as I mentioned to him, it's almost impossible.
Yeah.
Almost impossible to find.
Did I send you the photo that my friend had sent me that he found at the local antique store?
The Green Hornet dragster.
Yes.
I do remember that from that time period.
He sent me that picture and he was like, I found this over at I can't remember the antique
one
store,
of the places.
But I was like, oh my goodness.
Yeah.
But that was local.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool.
That's pretty cool. And you just don't wind up finding that kind of stuff. So, a pretty incredible collection. Go check out the YouTube channel that Charles. We'll
get back up.
We'll put it in the show notes and make sure.
But if you look up John Negron just on YouTube, you'll find episodes with his of multiple different things.
Yeah, you really will. And if you pop over to Facebook, you can do the same thing, and you'll find him, really quick and easy. Couple of side notes real quick before we scoot. Everybody's heard us talk a little bit about the fact that we're doing this short film that our production company, not yours and mine, but the production company we finished almost all of the major film dates at this point. I think we have 2 short scenes to finish up, stuff. So we're in the post-production.
And then you get into post, yeah.
Yeah, and we're kind of in post as it is because we're trying to meet a deadline to submit for San Diego Comic-Con, which I think is like the end of January or 1st of February. So you're
in the crunch, yeah.
Yeah, we're kind of in that crunch, and I'm doing music, and we're working on edits, and as a film project, any of those kind of projects, it's never quite exactly how I imagined it when I wrote it, but we're in that process. And then the other thing, too, is we were having this conversation briefly before we started, coming up in January. I can't remember which weekend. I think it's the 3rd weekend in January is
FanExpo
Portland.
Yeah.
And I will, again, be there with my friend John doing Batman. You may show.
Yeah, I'm hoping to be able to pull it off.
You may show. And I have been granted 45 minutes of time on their schedule to do a presentation on the Green Hornet.
Heck yeah.
And I was really excited about the fact I thought I was going to have a special guest with me, but she sent me a note today and said that she couldn't make it. But I will be there if you're going to be at FanExpo Portland.
You going to rock the shirt she gave you?
I might do that, or I may just stay in
cosplay.
I don't know. I may maybe unmask for the whole thing. Wouldn't that be kind of crazy? But yeah, if you're going to do FanExpo Portland in January, 3rd weekend, whatever it happens to be, by all means, check out the schedule.
If you can peel yourself away from the supernatural cast photo, come over and hang out with Greg.
We're gonna have to send a note out to them and say, "Come on over and check out the see if any of them are Green Hornet fans too."
I think Jared Padalecki could play the Green Hornet personally.
Actually, not a bad choice. That's maybe a conversation for another show, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
All right.
We should do a Dreamcasting episode.
That's what I meant.
Yeah, that's a really good idea.
I like the idea.
Glad I thought of it.
Glad you thought of it too. And with that, thanks everybody for sticking with us. It's what?
2 quick things before we go. Obviously, podcast, greenhornet66.com.
Thank you.
And Ko-Fi.
That's right.
Yes.
Be sure and drop by Ko-Fi,
Ko-Fi, whatever you want to call it.
KOFI.com, I think is what it is.
Caffeinate your hosts.
Yes, and we'd appreciate any little thing that's dribs and drabs that you wish to chunk.
I just realized we'd gone the entire episode and hadn't
talked about that. So we'd love to hear from you. Love to, if you want to share the wealth.
2025 coming up. The year of the case file. We got this. It's going to be a great time. Thank you so much for sticking with us.
We have some awesome things planned for you. And with that,
let's roll.
As the night envelops the city once more, our journey through the hidden alleys of history and valor comes to a close. You've been riding shotgun with the Green Hornet Case Files, where the echoes of the past meet the voices of the present. Tune in again for the next thrilling adventure where shadows speak, secrets unfold, and the legacy of the Green Hornet continues to inspire. The Green Hornet Case Files is a Grail Productions podcast. The Green Hornet is owned exclusively by Green Hornet, Inc. Until next time, vigilant listeners, keep your wits sharp and your spirit unbreakable.